Hello and welcome to the BRYX News, the weekly show on all things back building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and no, I think we don't have a reading recommendation this week. Anyhow, did you know that next to our highly set-focused content with nowadays almost 23,400 sets from 70 different brands on the site, 14,000 LEGO minifigures, almost 35,000 different bricks and parts and pieces, all this information, all the reviews, news, updates we are providing to you every week. We also have a community tab on our site, merlinsbrix.com or zdb.org. And here we have two menu entries or two sites for conventions and competitions. So actually our conventions list for the international audience is not that long nowadays, because this is actually pretty new. I think we have already a pretty good grip on the German-speaking events that we have here in Central Europe. So the German version of the site is actually where the list is actually much bigger, but we are getting into it. However, your support is highly appreciated. So if you are aware of any BRYX conventions out there that is missing on our list, and I'm pretty sure there are plenty, please drop us an email, info@merlinsbrix.com, or basically anything at merlinsbrix.com. This would be highly appreciated. However, just one caveat, I will only put events on the site that actually have something that is online. So please, not something that is hidden somewhere deep in a closed Facebook group or where just paper flyers exists, but actually a website or something like that we can link to. So we have already a ton of stuff like Bricktopia, Brick World, Brick Fan Expos, stuff like that, Scareback, of course. And we also have, of course, we have already linked to these kind of events in the past. But like I said, we are still in the beginning. And of course, we do not have the same insight internationally as we do have over here in Central Europe. So please support us, drop us an email, just a link, that's fine. I will check it out myself. And I think as soon as I have a grip on an event, I will also automatically check, in the upcoming years if they have a new version or if they keep doing the event year over year. With that, we are done. Let's get into set updates. And here we'll start, as always, with BlueBrixx. Or usually BlueBrixx is the first because we go through this in alphabetical order. And here we have now available the Astronomer's Power Plant 108075. This is a highly beloved series by BlueBrixx with a certain steampunk vibe that they have to it. This, however, is the very first time out of this already quite extensive list. It's not that many sets, but they're all very large. They started with the Astronomer's Lighthouse originally. Then they came with the Planetarium. Then they had the Mansion, and now they have the Power Plant. However, what is different with the Power Plant is that this will now go to market as BlueBrixx Pro Set, which means, it comes in a colored box with paper instructions, while the previous versions were BlueBrixx Specials, as far as I can tell. Which means, just no back separation. No, I think they have back separation. I'm not so sure if you had to sort the pieces yourself, but definitely different piece vendor and only digital instructions. Anyhow, 108075 is now available with 5,031 pieces. It's actually one of the smaller sets from the line, and it's going to cost you over here in Europe $200. As always, as I say every week, please keep in mind, especially for North Americans, over here in Europe, that always includes value-add tax. So, but of course, shipping internationally will be higher than what I have here, because actually for $200 you go shipping for free over here in Europe. But BlueBrixx is shipping to North America for sure. Other regions of the world, you have to check this out with them. What is also available is Blackbeard's flagship, Queen Anne's Revenge 108170. Again, a BlueBrixx Pro set with 6,240 pieces. I actually never talked about the announcements back in the day. However, I can tell you now, it's $280, 4.5 cents a piece. I think it's a very well done design. It's a very large sailing ship. So this thing comes in almost 41 inches length, or slightly above a meter. And it's roughly 72 centimeters height, or 28 inches. So this is not a small ship. Like I said, more than 6,000 pieces. And I think the price is quite attractive. $280 is not cheap, but I mean, considering the enormous size and the amount of pieces that you get. It is a BlueBrixx Pro set, so I do assume that we are talking about ZHEGAO material here, designed by BlueBrixx's own designer Niklas. And yeah, here you go. I think it's... If you want a sailing ship, this is as good as it can get. Especially, I mean, you consider it. I mean, compared to Lego's Endurance, just look at the piece count. So I think there is some quite exciting an exciting build in front of you. If you look at this picture, I actually have to update them. These were the original design pictures by BlueBrixx. They look a bit weird. If you look at the masts, the reason is that I think back in the day in the designer, they didn't have any sails, but of course, cloth sails are included in this one as well. Also available is a small German locomotive, BR89. Actually, BR is German for Baureihe. Oh, I have actually no idea how to translate that, but basically means kind of type of locomotive, if you will. 108494 is the set by BlueBrixx. It's a small locomotive, not at all comparable to the enormous display locomotives that they did recently. I think, in fact, if you look at the BR89, I think, is this the first one that BlueBrixx has been doing? Let me check. No, I'm actually not that sure. Let me double check. Yeah, I think it's the first. No, they did the BR89 display set 104171 012, and my apologies, 104012. Here we go. That was a display piece with almost 1,500 pieces. So this one now is just to put it on the track. Basically, that's the idea. Or if you're just interested in a smaller locomotive, 585 pieces, like I said. And then they have now available. Oh, I forgot the price, which is important, of course. $30. Not too shabby for such a tiny, nice locomotive. Then the 108647, the Tune Muscle Car in red. This is from the BRYX line by BlueBrixx. These cars are almost in the format and size of a Speed Champion. However, they are not designed to put minifigures in there, as far as I can tell. I mean, just look at the windows. These are done with regular slopes, no panel/window pieces. So yeah, the idea is just to look good. Have a brick built small car, 186 pieces, $9. And then also available is the Evolution of Space Flight from 1957 till today. The set number is 108338. I think, yes, this was announced last year, July. And it has 951 pieces, and it's gonna cost you 45 euros, basically. It's a relatively simple set. I guess it's a bit more complicated. They did a lot of these historical, like from two sets in the past, like the Evolution of Humanity and stuff like that, with, I don't know, starting from the old Greek till today. Spaceflight, I guess, is a bit more complicated. First of all, you don't have that much stuff, and second of all, yeah, I guess it looks a bit more plain, a bit more simple compared to similar sets that BlueBrixx did in the past. That is what I'm trying to say. Anyhow, I think you have the important stuff in here: the rovers, space shuttle, International Space Station, Apollo. It's all there, and Sputnik, of course. Here we go. Then they have announced 5 more pet animals in diamond block size. So diamond blocks, for those of you who are not familiar, these are very, very tiny bricks, and they are not to scale to regular bricks. So compared to mini bricks, which are basically like regular bricks, but scaled down, or the larger maxi bricks, what Lego calls Duplo, which are basically original bricks, but just scaled up, but they are, you know, in scale. Diamond blocks are not like this. They're even smaller than mini bricks. And I guess due to the size, they had to re-engineer these. I think the first brand who made them were Nanoblocks. Nanoblocks actually a brand, I think from Japan. And I think they started this, and then Chinese manufacturers picked this up. However, because Nanoblocks or Nanobricks, I can't recall, is a brand, the different name had to be invented. So usually what folks call this is diamond bricks or diamond blocks. Anyhow, 108598 is the first animal. It's a Cobra. It has 2016 pieces. And if you just look at the size, you get the understanding like what kind of bricks these are, because this is just 11 by 7 by 14 inches, which is not that small, but consider you have 2000 pieces in there. Anyhow, I think it's a nifty little Cobra. I'm not really sure if I like the color scheme, dark bluish gray and white. I don't know, for me a Cobra looks different. However, I haven't never seen one. No, I think I saw one once in a zoo, but anyhow, for me personally, there's not that much white in there, but I'm definitely not an expert. Then they will have a wolf, 108597, 2130 pieces, and yeah, it's a typical, you know, howling wolf on a mountain, basically, and yeah, looks quite nice. I'm happy with this one. Then they have the Mercat 108596. So that is basically, the Mercat is the African version, right? I think the North American version is the Prairie Wolf. No, what is it called? I forgot. Anyhow, 108596 is the animal, 1740 pieces. I think out of this new line of announcements, it's the smallest one, 7 by 5 by 10 inches roughly. And then they have a red panda, 108594. This is the largest one, 2667 pieces. I guess it's not larger than the other ones, but I assume it has more volume, so they need more bricks to fill this one up. It's roughly 6 by 7, 7.5 by 8 inches. And then they have a snowy owl. This is even bigger. Oh, my apologies. 3,103 pieces, 7 by 9 by 9 inches, roughly. And yeah, this one is basically, you know, I guess they need a lot of pieces for the wings. I really like the look and feel of it. Yeah, it feels like almost alive, which is quite nice. So again, these are just announcements at this point. These are BlueBrixx Pro sets. Sometimes this goes very fast. With BlueBrixx Special, it's usually between announcement and actually going on shelves. It's like 6 months plus. With BlueBrixx Pro, it's very hard to predict. Sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's a week. So who knows? Anyhow, now comes something interesting. 108373, the treasure cave has been announced. So this is, I mean, it doesn't come as a big surprise that this is basically a re-release of the 105266 that BlueBrixx did a couple of years ago. However, it's now a BlueBrixx Pro set. So that is not a big difference or not a big news. They do this a lot now, especially with these pirate line, but also with a few other lines. They basically re-release the sets now as BlueBrixx Pro, which again, it's a different kind of offering. While BlueBrixx Specials were more like MOCs in a box, this is more like a real set now, you know, with colorful box and paper instructions, everything. But what they also do a lot with these BlueBrixx Pro re-releases is putting minifigures in. This is what they have done here. However, what they've also done, at least on the site, not on this picture yet of the box art. Here they still call it the Pirate Island, but on the website they basically gave this line a new category or a new name basically, and it's called Treasure Coast Legends. So I don't know yet what exactly that means, if this is just this rebrand. Like, I mean, you all know this from Lego. Lego's doing this all the time, like Creator Xbert becomes Icons, and what are they calling the botanical collection now? I think it has also a new name. Anyhow, this could be just it, or it could be that BlueBrixx is rethinking the entire line. Let's see. Like I said, this name, Treasure Coast Legends, is only on the website yet. I don't have it seen on any box arts. Anyhow, with that, again, it's just an announcement. They also announced a new minifigure pack for Steampunk 108651. So BlueBrixx has done a little bit of Steampunk recently, or at least on the announcement side. I think they haven't released any of those. But yeah, here you go. You have a minifigure pack. There are 4 minifigures in there, including 3 builds. And out of the 4 minifigures, 3 come with 2 headpieces, like hair or a hat or a helmet, stuff like that. And 198 pieces, plus again, 4 minifigures. And that's about that. With that, moving on to another re-release. So that is interesting. So we had last year the Medieval Belts caster. I've actually built the set, really liked it. Basically this was back in the last year. This was the set 107071. Pretty nice set. This year, however, it's a 108488, so it has a new number. It has exactly the same piece count. So what rumors have been that they have now, it's still BlueBrixx special, but it could be one of the very few BlueBrixx specials that still come in a brown box with only digital instruction, but with back separation. So I mean, you have building faces in a nutshell. So I'm not 1% sure if this is actually the case, but this is the current rumor. That for at least on the surface, you don't see a difference because the piece count is exactly the same. So yeah, let's see. We'll keep an eye on this. Then the plum tree in spring, like I said, I'm pretty sure I talked about it last week. Plum trees. So basically, BlueBrixx has done now announced all four for all 4 seasons, and like I said last week, spring was still missing, so we now have spring as well. So this is the 108900. Actually, it has the lowest number out of the 4, but was the last one that was actually announced. It is the largest one by far, so it has 867 pieces, because you have all the blossoms in there as well. And then the winter version, which makes sense, has only 318 pieces. So my guess is that they will definitely not all be at the same price point. Maybe autumn and winter will have the same price, but yeah, long story short, I'm a big fan of this idea and this concept. The picture that we have right now is a bit rough, but I think it already shows what the idea is. So BlueBrixx, basically, in a nutshell, the wood itself, the tree, the trunk, if you will, is always the same, color-wise and of course design-wise anyhow, but everything else changes. All the colors change, and also the building techniques around, the branches and everything changes, which is really amazing. It's a great concept, really love it. 867 pieces, 3 trees are in the box. And then we have a trench set by BlueBrixx, 108930. Out of the ModBrixx line. This looks like 2 trench pieces, but actually it's more like a 2-in-1 set. So they call it Model A and Model B. So you can basically build this slightly different. So if, for instance, if you want to build what you currently see on screen, then you need 2 of the sets. By the way, on screen, as always, for those of you who are just listening to this on a podcast platform, I also do video versions of this show on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Spotify. On Spotify, I just upload the video. However, 2 caveats. First of all, TikTok, only if I manage to stay below 60 minutes, because this is still my upload limit for TikTok. And for Spotify, it's a manual process, so I publish this automatically as an audio version of the show, regular podcast. And then after I've done that, Spotify offers me, after a certain amount of time, to upload a video file, which, depending on, I try to do this as fast as I can, but sometimes I forget and just do it a few days later. My apologies for that. I do hope that one day there will be an automated way to do this, but right now it's a manual process, and because I'm lazy, sometimes I don't do it or I forget it, but I will do my very best. And that, I think, especially on Spotify, same way I guess as on YouTube Music, the app, means you have an easy way to listen to the audio version, and whenever I say something that interests you and you want to see what I'm actually showing on screen, you could just, just open up the app and then see the video version. I think this is how this works on Spotify. Anyhow, let's move on to Stargate. And here BlueBrixx announced a ton of new sets. As always, when there is a pop cultural context, I try to add the context in the set to be, because I'm not really a fan of the Stargate TV shows or Stargate series. I just saw the movie back in the day. Hopefully I got everything right, like SG-1 and Atlantis and Universe, whatever, all the different TV shows, whatever they are called. I try to assign them. So we have here a Stargate on a planet. That means it's not just a Stargate, also a few other microbuilds, 5 minifigures included of the SG-1 crew, I guess, and it's a 108-211. I think not so much to say about it. Yeah, basically you have the Stargate. As always, they put in this, I guess it's kind of a foil or something like that. They put in a piece that you can basically show the Stargate both open or active or closed/inactive. They also have a Pegasus Space Gate, which is a very tiny set, 108573, announced 65 pieces. And yeah, again, it's a Stargate. It's from Stargate Atlantis. And I think the idea is, I guess this thing flows somewhere around in space. All the Stargates are slightly different from the look and feel of the ring between the different TV shows. I'm pretty sure this is authentic. I guess BlueBrixx knows what they're doing and they have the license, so I guess this makes sense. But please let me know in the comment section if you're a Stargate fan and what your opinions are if BlueBrixx got this right. Then they have 3 big brick bodies. So BlueBrixx brick bodies are from a concept similar to brickheads by LEGO. However, personally, I think they made a better job here. They have done this for multiple of their license sets. They used to do this for Star Trek back in the day when they still had the license, which unfortunately they lost end of last year, I think. But they are slightly bigger than the LEGO version usually. I think the LEGO brickhead is 4x4 stats, and these are 6x6 a head, which doesn't sound much, but it's a 50% more just from the sides and volume-wise. That means basically it's twice as much volume, right? So these are bigger, and BlueBrixx also usually puts a plaque down below on the stand, which is a pet printer piece, which is really, really cool. Anyhow, we have Daniel Jackson, 108,656, 234 pieces. And as you can see already, just look at the size numbers. This thing is almost 5 inches in height, or 13 centimeters. So like I said, it's bigger than the typical brickhead by LEGO. And then they have a second one, which is Samantha Carter, 108,657, and again, all of these are SG1 crew, as fans may already know. And then we have TLC, is he pronounced like that? Again, my apologies for my ignorance. 108,658 though, 237 pieces, and yeah, he's there. He has his, what is it? I mean, it's not, I mean, in the TV series, I've seen this before. I think it's just something that is glued to his forehead, but I don't know in law what it actually is. Like, it's not a tattoo, I'm pretty sure about that. But he has this thing on his forehead, and again, also a plaque, and all of them also have like their symbols and everything on their shoulders. Then we have another chevron. I think they have done already multiple of those. This is now from Stargate Universe. I think this is the very first time that they announced Stargate Universe sets, 108,669. And yeah, it's a chevron. They have done multiple of these. However, I think this chevron looks different than the other ones. The other ones were just recolors between Pegasus, SG1 and Atlantis, but I think this one is entirely different from a building perspective. It has 525 pieces, that I do know, and it's roughly 6x8 by 17 inches. And then they have also, of course, another Stargate, and this comes with a very different design of the ring. Again, I just assume it's authentic, but I honestly don't know. What is interesting, again, I've never built any of the Stargate sets. It seems the Stargate itself is not like a foil or anything. It looks like it's tiles. I don't know, it looks brick built, which is interesting. 108,574 though, 62 pieces, which is not that much. Here we go. That was Stargate. Then something that I guess is not that interesting for you from the international audience, but from Germany, we have from our local brand BRYX, or BRYX Berlin, I think they call themselves. We have a soccer stadium from FSV Mainz 05 or 05 in German. 230105 is the set number, now available over here in Europe from certain brands. And yeah, I mean, this is a big thing over here, you know, Germans and soccer and everything. I personally not really into soccer. I'm more into endurance sports like triathlon, but most Germans are kind of soccer fans, at least the male part of our country. But BRYX Berlin has a ton of these nowadays, and they all come with a license and prints and everything. So yeah, I guess if you're a soccer fan, this may be for you. And they sell these now for over here in Europe for 40 bucks, which is not cheap, but again, comes with a license, and it's kind of a, you know, unique set. Then not that important update, but just want to let you know that I'm pretty sure that the UH-60 Black Hawk Sikorsky set from Cobi should be around the corner, 5906. So originally Cobi said February 2025. They missed this by a long shot, but I just want to let you know that the first retailers over here in Germany seem to have it. So I think that we're getting close here, at least in Europe. As always, especially in North America, will take more time. BRYX has already a price point, but no availability yet. Same is true for the Volkswagen Golf Cabriolet, which is now available over here in Europe, 24360 by Cobi. We already have a Cobi list price. We already have a price indication from North America, and like I said, over here in Europe already first availabilities. What is also available, however, that is something you can only buy from Cobi directly, is the limited edition of the V1 Flying Bomb 3134. Which, you know, V1 is Vergeltungswaffe, German, it's a Nazi thing, but those of you who are interested in rocket history, this may be for you. However, I have actually no idea how this works outside of Europe. These limited editions, over in Europe, you have to buy them from the Cobi web store. That's the only way to get these. I don't even know if they sell them anywhere else around the world. But I don't have a link because Cobi, unfortunately, is not an affiliate partner of mine. But you can just check out Cobi.eu, I guess, and check this one out. $60 is what Cobi is asking for. With that, moving on to LEGO, to a couple of availabilities. I will only mention the 3 most important ones from the April availabilities by by LEGO. But of course, there's a ton more stuff, also smaller sets. But I think the most important ones are, of course, the River Steamboat 21356. Now available, 4,090 pieces. Nothing has changed there. And you can buy this, for instance, from LEGO US for $330 or LEGO EU. I've actually ordered this one. I'm supposed to get it maybe today or tomorrow. So if you do speak German, you may join my German live stream tomorrow evening, European time. Central European time, IPM. But yeah, I think YouTube is now doing a better and better job to translate or auto-stop. I see more and more comments on my German videos from the international audience. So I think this is, you know, getting adopted by YouTube more and more. However, it seems that YouTube is doing very small steps here. So hopefully long term, you will be able to see also some of my German-speaking videos. And even if this technology works better one day, I may even link, because this is what I do on my German site. So on the German version of this website, all my videos, you know, I don't know, at this point, more than 1,000 videos on my German YouTube channel. They're all linked in here in the ZDB. I don't do this on the English version yet, but I may change that. However, as I already watched 1 or 2 of my videos in English translated by YouTube, it's okay, I guess, but it's not perfect yet. But I think this technology will get better over time, so hopefully long term we won't have a problem there. Anyhow, now available the Idea Steamboat. Also available is Disney Beauty and the Beast, the Castle for 3263. This is already set, we talked about. Is now available also from various outlets. Price hasn't changed, $280 US, 350 Canadian, 240 quid, 450 Australian dollars, etc., etc. Nothing has changed there. And then Lord of the Rings, The Shire, again available, 10354. I can also say from my side, I've actually built it. I've published a release or review last weekend on my German channel, and as you can see already, I give just 5 out of 10 stars. I mean, there's a lot to say, good things to say about it. There are a couple of interesting building techniques in there. The minifigures are great. The cloth pieces are pretty cool. A couple of very, very nice building techniques. Also, the pet printed pieces around the small windows, the new window piece. I mean, there are small things that are good. However, all this stuff already, you know, complained about. My opinion stands after building it. This very rough slope work is, from my point of view, not an 18 plus set. The trees are, I don't know what they are, but the trees feel more like a 4 plus set, not an 18 plus set. And also the backside. I mean, the interior I think is quite nice, but there's just too many plain plastic, you know, in your face if you look at this back. I mean, you have a little bit of interior, and then you have the back side of regular bricks in large quantities. So there's just not enough detail. And, you know, I talked about this already before. I stand to my opinion after building it. Build was fun, but it is definitely by far the worst of the 3 modern Lord of the Rings sets. And I wasn't even a fan of Barad-dûr, but it's even worse. Actually, with 5 out of 10, this may already be too nice. Anyhow, for whatever reason, LEGO decided for the weakest set, let's take the highest price point. I double checked now because now of the weight of all 3 sets. In a nutshell, it has a 50% uptick on price compared to Rivendell and even Barad-dûr, and that is not justified whatsoever. So from my point of view, it's very unfortunate, but it's not a good set. Anyhow, let's move on to LEYI from China, where we actually have availability now with Chinese retailers. For instance, BRYX is basically asking for $46 for this M4 Sherman medium tank 97010 with 1,682 pieces. It's pretty nice looking tank. Pretty large. I think it has even interior, and it's minifigure scale. And as a quick warning, there are also minifigures included in this one, which I just found out this morning. Actually, I have to basically remove 1 or 2 of the pictures because, as you know, as I don't know how it is in North America, but in Europe, you may get into problems with customs on this one because these minifigures, as many of you may know, LEGO over here in Europe has a 3D trademark. Yes, we have such a thing. No, it's 3D trademark or 3D logo. I think it's a 3D trademark on the LEGO minifigure. So you can't import these into Europe. I mean, you can try as a private person, not as a company, but you know, if customs figure this out, they may destroy it, to say the least. But I'm not a lawyer, so don't ask me. But I can tell you that LEYI, I think, did a pretty good design. I mean, the Sherman is not as blocky as the picture here. It's more rounded, right? But I think, nevertheless, they did a pretty good job, and it's a minifigure scale tank, as is the M26 Pershing, also from LEYI, 97011, 1,703 pieces. Again, you can buy these from China for around $45-46. As always, keep in mind when I mention Chinese retail prices, that is including shipping into Europe, because this is where I am, so that's the price I pick. But this may be very different depending on where you live. But also keep in mind, as for many of my affiliate partners, I also provide a discount code, in this case of 14%. However, that is pre-shipping discount. Merlin minus BRYX in this case. And then MGI or MG, I don't know how this brand is correctly pronounced. They have 2 sets that they call semi-mechanical. So these are basically like Technic. I mean, it has a certain vibe. Wasn't there this Sony game? I forgot the name. LEGO, I think, did also a few sets. Maybe it's in this direction, or maybe just for fans of these kind of mechanical robot animals, beasts, whatever you might call it. Anyhow, they have here the 13087, the semi-mechanical dinosaur. It has 1,268 pieces. There's a lighting kit included, or at least a small one. You know, the eyes are blazing. However, what is also interesting, you also have this blue cable after the eyes. So I think this one here is a photograph. Here you see light only from the eyes, but they also have these renderings where basically this cable is also glowing. So I don't know what to trust more here, but long story short, you have here this dinosaur, and then they also made a mechanical, semi-mechanical, my apologies, a dragonfly, 13086. It's a smaller set, only 866 pieces, are gonna cost you around $30. By the way, the dinosaur costs you in Asia around $40. And yeah, I think this one I even like more. They have these wing pieces, which looks really cool. The entire color scheme I really like, but again, it is kind of, like the name suggests, robot dragonfly. And then we have a ton of new Pantasy sets that, however, I have not seen in China yet. I haven't seen on Pantasy's own website. This is information I got from a German retailer who has actually these things already in stock. So that's a bit interesting. But just as an FYI, I added these sets to the database. I don't have any international way to buy these at this point in time, but I will keep an eye on this. But let's go briefly through them. So first of all, what the Envision Smart Energy Storage System 11027, roughly around 1,300 pieces. And this is basically, an kind of an architecture set, a small box with architecture, size, and scale vision on renewable energy. This is how I would basically call this. It looks really interesting. And yeah. Sounds pretty cool. Then we have another Little Prince or Le Petit Prince set, Starry Ride Planet 86327. It's a relatively small set, comes with a minifigure, around 200 pieces. And like I said, I have no way to buy these international. I just wanted to mention these. They look really, really cool. And then Pantasy has, as many of you may know, also the Peanuts license. Actually, the Peanuts license is one of those licenses, maybe together with SpongeBob, that you see with several brands actually at the same time in parallel. Multiple Chinese brands have a license here, but also BlueBrixx. But anyhow, here we have, again, 2 of these glass dome sets, which they have done a ton with Le Petit Prince. Now they also have 2 with Peanuts. First of all, 86903. This may come available in China. I already have a listing, but it's not available there. But it's already available again with German retailers. Quite interesting. 86903 is Peanuts Coffee. Then we have Peanuts Painting. I already did talk about this one. My apologies. 86902, 269 pieces. Again, now also available over here in Germany. And then we have, again, 5 sets I've never talked about before because, again, I've never seen them in China, only with one German retailer. 86907, Snoopy. Yeah, I don't have an English name yet. I guess it's Snoopy Steamboat. Yes, Snoopy Steamboat. So let's fix the name here. I guess I can't do all the fixes here live on the show, but I will fix this right after the show. Then we have the Peanuts biplane. So Snoopy on a plane looks really, really amazing. And then we have Snoopy in a roadster, which also looks really, really cool. And then we have Snoopy on a school bus. All of these basically include one minifigure, Snoopy, 200 to 300 pieces. And yeah, I will link all of them down below. And I will definitely keep an eye on this. I do assume we will get over time options to buy them as well. And then last but not least, Snoopy's suitcase, which also looks really amazing. 86910 is the last one. The case itself is, of course, not brick built. It's kind of a wooden structure, I would almost guess. And yeah, looks really, really beautiful. All of these sets, I'm a huge fan. I don't know. I think I've seen so many Snoopy sets from so many or Peanut sets from so many different brands, but these are my new favorites. These last 5 I just talked about. With that, we're moving on to small angle, and here we have the game card JD093. I've seen this now for the very first time with Chinese retailers for around 115 bucks. It's yours. This thing has almost 3,000 pieces. There's an electronics component included in this one as well. So basically, my understanding is they have like a belt road in there that is motorized, and then you have cars driving around, which is really, really cool. And I don't know, it looks even there is a mechanism that you can steer the cars on the belt. At least this is how it feels, because you have this remote control steering wheel, which is, I don't know, is this a game controller? I'm not so sure, but it looks beautiful. It looks like a really interesting set. It's not a small set though. I don't have a size precisely, but 3,000 pieces is not shabby. With that, we're moving on to 2 kind of gray area sets from a license perspective. So first we have from Xbert the Flight Chase 66123. Obviously, this is a scene from the 3rd Indiana Jones movie, and even if you don't know the movie, but you are a LEGO fan, you may also know this, because LEGO has done the same scene with a set, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. So Xbert has now also done this. Of course, they don't have an Indiana Jones license, but at the end of the day, it's a German warplane and a white car. So yeah, I guess you can do this without a license. I think it's okay. 1,232 pieces though, and you can buy this in China for around $40. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's not a small set. It's almost 17 inches in length. And they put this plane on a Technic construction that is really, really close to the car. So I guess the pilot tried to get into the tunnel, right? If I recall correctly. So I guess there was actually kind of a scene where this happened, where the airplane actually tried to get into the tunnel. Wasn't it like this? I'm not that sure, but it looks very close to me. Then we have from Xbert the Labrador Retriever. This set I think is totally fine. It's pretty cool. There's a dark. It is just on one lift arm in trans clear. That sounds a bit wobbly, but I guess it's just a display piece, right? 66060, 1,257 pieces, again slightly below $40 in China. And then you have another set. I call it here Red Dragon, but obviously Xbert is playing around with Dungeons and Dragons again without having a license because there's a beholder. Technically, it has only 6 eyes or 7, so it's technically not a beholder. But it's pretty clear what they are playing around with, right? But I think, again, for me, I've decided this goes into the gray area bucket. In general, when people make sets that are clearly taking reference from a pop culture reference without having a proper license, I usually block them out from the ZTB. In this case, I decided, okay, that's still in a very, very, very gray, dark area, but not yet on the, they're not going too far. But it's never a crystal clear decision. 66122 though, 1,856 pieces, $53. So again, I will link it down below or in the podcast show notes. So check it out yourself and make up your own mind if this is still okay. We're moving on to ZHEGAO, and here we have the Magic Laboratory 611051. 1,000 pieces. You can buy this for around $23. As far as I can tell, these are regular BRYX, but please keep me honest here. This may be mini BRYX as well because most ZHEGAO sets are. But as far as I can tell, I mean, it's 23 centimeters in height, 18 by 9. Yeah, I would still argue these are regular BRYX. But anyhow, you may want to check this out as well. With that, we're moving on to MOCs of the week. I already talked about last week all the different, in fact, a lot of stuff is now flooding into Rubricable how to fix the Shire by Lego. So Rebel Neely is one of several designers actually who have published stuff in recent days, and this is now basically the closed back and additional rooms for what Lego calls the Shire. It's just back end, but okay. 1,656 pieces. This extension is going to cost you. I think he's not writing anything about it, but I'm pretty sure you could get the pieces. I guess one of the easiest ways to get the pieces is just to buy the set a second time, because there's a ton of people, including a lot of Bricklink vendors, what I've at least seen over here in Germany, who are selling the set without minifigures for a much lower price. So obviously the minifigures are, the big driver of the set, and this is what everybody's going for. So this could be the way to get these pieces, especially also the printed pieces and everything, which I guess you want to have. So this could be a good way to get at least most of the pieces just by, because it's the same building techniques, so you may need a lot of the original pieces. You may want to check out, I already talked about this last week, and just check out Rebel Neely's account, because that designer has actually published a ton of stuff to fix the trees, fix the party, fix the building, fix everything. You will need a ton of pieces, but after that you may have a decent back end. You will never have a Shire, but you at least will have a back end. But you can build the Shire yourself. Anyhow, let's move on to it's an alternate build, I would argue, even if technically it's not. The 42100, the Liebherr. Here, the designer Lars4444 has done or made a class Jaguar 980 Terra truck. Out of that, 3,456 pieces. My apologies, $18 for the instructions, and it's a pretty awesome build. It is if you will, more like you will need 2 additional pieces, and these 2 wheels actually to make this work. Everything else, it seems, comes from the Liebherr excavator. The designer basically, just to make Rebrickable happy, I guess, added as a second set for the alternate build the 42129 ZROS to the entry on Rebrickable, but technically you only need the wheels. So I guess the easiest way is to get the wheels. I mean, if you already have the set ROS, you can just, rob them from the set. But I guess it's also possible or feasible just to buy the wheels. Anyhow, let's move on to Raguidel has the Medieval Village now as a serious bundle. I think I talked about some of these MOCs in the past, and now you have a bundle for 1,165 pieces. And yeah, I really like the design. They are small, but still need a lot of pieces because there's a lot of detail in them. But I think they have very interesting building techniques. They should work very well together with Lion Knight's castle. So especially these stables I really like. Yeah, they have just a beautiful Lego castle compatible design. And for all of those of you who are interested in BlueBrixx Blaustein Castle series, but don't have the space or the budget, you may be in the game for this tinier or like scaled down version that the designer Fearon is putting on Rebrickable. So I just keep you updated on this one because this designer has done all the different updates now or extensions. So basically you can build your mini Blaustein castle. You still need a lot of pieces because it has a lot of detail, but I guess this version that you see here right now and the original one has something like 20,000 pieces. Here it is 4,000, so it's 1/5, but I guess the most important thing is that it needs less space. Then, just as an update, Count of Brick, I think a designer I actually personally know that is doing a ton of amazing stuff on 1/300 scale warships. So basically Cobi stuff or Cobi's territory, but if you're like me, highly frustrated that Cobi is always doing just the 4 or 5 most important classics, right? Like, I don't know, Iowa, Bismarck, Tippett, stuff like that. But as you know, if you're into marine or naval warfare history, there's a ton more ships out there who have a lot of history to them. So there's a very active community, at least over here in Germany, who's doing a ton of these designs. And a lot of them you can buy also from Chinese companies who are making sets out of them, like from Less DIY. I've actually built 2 of those, really cool stuff. But now Count of Brick is also putting his stuff. It seems, at least he has done 2 ships now on Rebrickable and uploading them there, which is really amazing. These things are really, really awesome. And what I must say, I'm a big fan of the Cobi ship designs. However, it is astonishing what these designers managed to do with the regular catalog of bricks, i.e. Lego bricks. Because Cobi has done a ton of pieces that other companies don't, like especially on the slope side of things, with a lot more angles to get the ships right. But Count of Brick and many of his design buddies are doing an amazing job. Just using regular pieces. Also, Cobi of course has special modes for airplanes and stuff like that. So these guys build their own micro airplane builds, which also work very well. Cobi has a lot of special pieces for smaller cannons, like anti-air cannons and stuff. These guys, build them again as micro builds, and it works very, very well. I must really say, I was highly surprised by that. I always assumed nobody could do this, but they do a decent job. It works quite well, so you may want to check this out. And then we have the Meeting on Ferrix by Zarino 90. This is a very simple build, if you will, right? But because I'm such a huge fan of Andor, I can't say how much I love this show. And Lego, for whatever reason, did only 1 set. Well, I guess Lego assumed it would never be very successful. But for me, it's the best thing that Disney has ever done in the Star Wars franchise, maybe together with Rogue One. So yeah, I'm just, I just had to talk about this MOC. Because also, not only because I'm a big Andor fan, I'm also a huge fan of this scene, because from my point of view, the dialogue in this scene is where Andor really got started for me. This is when I really started to get exciting. Luther is just an amazing character, maybe the coolest Star Wars character of all time. And together with Andor and the dialogue, it's just so amazing. And yeah, so that's why I had to talk about it. But Zarino has also done a pretty good job. on this build. Maybe I would prefer at the end of this scene, a lot of stuff gets destroyed and everything, so I would have preferred to have this moment in time after the dialogue, because there's just more stuff going on the floor especially. But yeah, cool build, 2,757 pieces. Sereno 90 is asking for €8. And then we have another modular by all Irvin experts, the Villa Imperia, 3,000 pieces, $20 for the instructions. Really modern kind of design, what we call over here in Germany Bauhaus architecture, and it looks very modern. I'm a huge fan of this designer, of this work. I really like these modern kind of buildings, almost like what also Young, for instance, is doing as well on Unbreakable. Really cool designs. Definitely an account I would recommend to check out. Is doing a ton of crazy ship work, but also a ton of interesting building, and also some of the best display pieces, if you ask me, for Speed Champions. A lot of designers do these, but I think especially this one here for the Porsche looks really amazing. Beautiful design. Also very well represented, pretty good pictures. That helps to sell as well. And then we have the SIS building, Vauxhall Cross, the MI6 mock by M Design, 6,758 pieces for this building that many of us know from, I don't know, James Bond, for instance. I think he was even jumping out of this building with a boat. I think this is the headquarters of SIS, so the British Intelligence Services. And yeah, it's, I think, a very cool design. As far as I can tell, very authentic. I was in London once, but I didn't see this building, unfortunately. But I think based on the, what I've seen in the movies, at least, this looks quite nice. And I'm currently reading the Jack Ryan series. So this is, I guess, why I'm also highly interested in this one. Looks really, really cool, though. Great build. Really love it. And then they added The Last Stand by Mock Lobster, the last mock of today, 832 pieces, because I'm a huge fan of this dragon brass piece. I mean, sometimes when I look at it, I think, okay, the dragon is throwing up, but most of the times it works really, really well for me. And it's a very massive building technique. It is not using any trans pieces, but still, it works very well. So if you are in the market, both for this mock itself, which looks really cool, but maybe also interested in the building techniques to get your own dragon brass running. Maybe, I don't know, you have already a fantasy diorama going on. You have, I don't know, a Lego Ninjago dragon, but, now you want to add some action to the scene. This may be for you. 750 quid for this mock by Mox Lobster. With that, we are done with this show. As always, if you listen or watch this show, please give us a like, subscribe, comment, rate. You know the drill. Depending on your platform, there's stuff that you can do to help us to spread the word. This is highly appreciated. And yeah, with that, thanks for listening. See you next week.